Hey guys, so this is the first video to the three-part series of what I wanted to talk about from going from point A to point B. I believe that this is a word that God gave me, and prayerfully and hopefully this is for somebody out there, not just myself. Um, but how this came to mind was a couple months ago. I was at the gym, and for weeks I have been seeing videos of these older women that were doing deadlifts. And I don't know if you're familiar with deadlifts, but deadlifts are when the weights and the barbells on the ground and you just pull it straight up. Well, I've never done them in my whole entire life, but I thought, hey, I've been training for strength training for a couple of months. I think this is a piece of cake because I used to be strong, so I should be strong now, right? And so I'm like, okay, let's do some deadlifts. So I started out. It was like 200 something. Pulled it up, piece of cake, no problem. Uh, then I was like, okay, put some more on there. Put some more on there. So I pulled it up, no problem. It was about at 300, and I should have stopped then. But I was so pumped, I was so ready. I said, no, put some more, put some more, put some more on there. So we got, needless to say, I don't even know where we were. We were like 325 or something like that. And it was tough. But I was like, I can do this, I can do this. So I bent down to do it, and I went to lift up, and pop, there went my back. Yeah, it was a bad situation. Um, Even to this day, it's still a little tender, but not as bad as it was. But the point was, I had no training in deadlifts whatsoever. I maybe had like a 5-minute crash course in it before I did it. And I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I didn't take the steps to get from where I was, which was not a trained deadlifter person, to where I needed to be to start doing that. And as I was sitting on my couch in pain on a heat pad, God's like, there's a lesson in this. There's a word in this. We have to take the steps in between point A to point B. And point A was where I was I was strong, I was getting toned, I had been in the gym for a few months, but I've never deadlifted my whole entire life. I wasn't ready for it. Point B was I wanted to be that superwoman deadlifter, whatever. I didn't do any of these steps in between. And that's what we're going to talk about, is the in-between part in this three-part series. And I broke it down in these three parts because they were just not only some scriptures, but examples and things that I think of when I have to go from point A to point B, which is basically in any decision that we make. So throughout our whole life, we're always going to have to make choices. We're always going to have to make decisions. We're always going from one season to the next. And like I said, this is about the in-between part that I really want to focus on. You hear it say that the quickest way from point A to point B is a straight line. And that is true. You could detour, you could do all kinds of crazy stuff, but we're going to talk about the straight line that we're going to take and that I take. So, the first thought that I had, I like to call it like the Nike method. That's the just do it, you know. In my head, I'm like, just do it, stupid. God said, just do it, just do it. And I know it's hard. But it's just like anything like eating healthy. Um, there's nothing to it but to do it. Easier said than done, but you just have to do it. And that was the first method that I came up with. And the scripture I had to go with it was basically, it was the story about the fisherman. Um, when God said, John 21:6. He said, throw the net off the right side of the boat and see what happens. They did what he said, and all of a sudden, there were so many fish in their nets, they weren't even strong enough to pull them all in. See, Jesus told the disciples that we're not catching any fish, to simply cast their nets on the other side of the boat. And all they had to do was basically just do it. And throughout our lives, and I know me personally, I know there's different kinds of situations that, we go through, but sometimes it's as easy as just doing what God says. And I know that sometimes it might seem meaningless, pointless. It don't even make sense as to why I'm doing this, but God said to just do it. And I think if we could get past ourselves, our worries and our doubts, and the logic and reasoning behind certain things, that we would probably be a lot better. And I use this example a lot because I work with people with special needs. And a lot of times they just see things black and white. This is how it is, and this is how it's going to be, because that's the way that they were taught. There's no justification. There's no debating things in their mind. It's, if God said it, this is what's going to happen, and that's what I'm going to do. And that's how we should be. And like I said, I know it's a whole lot easier said than done. And that's what I wanted to focus on this first video, is for us throughout our day or whatever, kind of just recall some of the situations that we've had to go from point A to point B, or any decisions or choices that we have to make. And how many times was it easier for us just to do what God told us to do the first time than going around in circles trying to find the answers? I know in today's society, when a situation arises, a lot of times we want to go ask somebody for advice, or go straight to Facebook, or go to some other social media thing and ask for advice, or pop the question on there or something like that, when we should go straight to the source and then do exactly what he says. You know how much time we waste waiting for a response, or checking our Facebook to see what kind of comments we have and all this? I think and me personally, I'm talking to myself too, there's times that I'll post something that I know could be controversial, or it's a question or something like that, and then I'm checking it like every 5 minutes. Oh, my phone dinged, I got a comment. What did they say? What did they say? So I think if we focused on going straight to the source and doing what he tells us to do first, that straight line is going to be a whole lot easier to get from point A to point B. And that was the first thought that I had, was the just do it method. Or you could do the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Do what God tells us to do the first time, and we don't have to go through all this garbage. But yes, of course, when we do go through that garbage, we do learn a lot of stuff. But sometimes getting from point A to point B is as easy as just doing what God told us to do. So today, I'm going to leave you with the just do it method. And then, of course, the next videos will be more of the harder stuff in the in-between parts of A to B. So stay tuned for the next video. It'll probably go out next week sometime. And we're going to talk about the next method. Basically, my favorite is the training and preparing. The training that I didn't really do to do deadlifts. But that's what we're going to talk about next. And we do know that in training and preparing, it is painful, it is tough, but it is necessary. So we will talk about that on the next video. I hope you guys have a great day. I love you all, and see you next time.